Hey beloved, Pastor Allen and Pastor Chris out here in King in front of the Stokes County Family YMCA on a beautiful, bright and windy day. And Pastor Chris obviously standing up on a hill or something here next to me. This week's Bible study is rooted in the text from Acts chapter 20, where Paul is given a speech to the Ephesians, and in the midst of it, he almost says something offhandedly that is actually maybe one of the most important things Jesus ever said, but it doesn't appear in the Gospels, it appears here. And I pick up reading Acts 20 at verse 33. These are the words of Paul. I coveted no one's silver or gold or apparel. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my necessities and to those who were with me. And in all things I've shown you that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak. And remember the words of the Lord Jesus, how he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive.
You know, Pastor Allen, you preached on that text on Sunday morning, and you said that that text was not in the Gospels, it's Jesus' words in Acts, but it seems totally consistent with kind of the theme of the way that Jesus talks about living the Christian life.
It really is the gigantic secret of the Christian life. You know, I think that everything Jesus demonstrated in his life, and pretty much everything he taught, in one way or another, it's pointing back to this incredible truth, a gigantic secret, that the pathway to blessedness is not through getting, it's through giving. And this is just a completely countercultural, this is a completely counterintuitive type of thought, because we're just trained in believing that the way you get blessed is you get. The more you can accumulate, the more you can get, the happier you're going to be. But what Jesus is saying is, no, there is a way in which when you give, it's not just a roadway to get a blessing later on, but it is the blessing itself. So here's part of the way I think about this. I've been thinking a lot about, everybody asks me, well, what's it like being an empty nest now? You know, we got a kid married and one freshman in college, and we're like, oh, you know, we're fun, having fun, being able to pick up and do whatever we want to, but we're grieving. And go, well, why are you grieving? Well, we're grieving because raising those kids was the most fun thing that we've ever done. I mean, it's the most fun I ever had in my life was raising kids from the time they were babies to get them off to college and getting them married. It's been so fun. And then you say, wait a minute, what's such a blessing about being a parent? Let's go back and review what you do. You got a bunch of them in your house, you know, Chris. Like, you bring the baby.
They're takers, not givers.
They're takers, yeah. You bring the baby home, and what does the baby give you? Wet diapers, cries at night, and pretty much you give all of your time to the little baby. It is, as someone once said, that the definition of motherhood is the giving of one life for another. and I know as a dad, you do the same thing. You give and you give and you give, and then it doesn't stop just because they're no longer toddlers or they're no longer in elementary school. It's just what you do as a parent is you are blessed by giving to the child, and it's a mystery because it wouldn't make sense to people if you said, listen, I want you to sign up for something where you're going to use up a bunch of your money and a bunch of your free time, and it's going to take away all these things from your normal schedule, and I promise you it's going to be the biggest blessing you ever had in your life. It's not because you raise the kids and then one day, okay, good, they come back and they'll take care of us in our old age. That's not the blessing. The blessing is the love that you have for them and as you give. But think about life.
Yeah.
It's like this. If you are an artist, you give yourself to painting, and as you do, you find delight. If you're a musician, you give a gift of your musical gift and you find delight. I mean, you know the same feeling when you preach. You're giving, but the preacher is delighted in the midst of the preaching. It's a gigantic mystery, but that's what we are going to be learning about, Chris, all throughout the whole series. And here's we get started this week. We want you thinking about this mystery, about this wonder in which your life will in every measure be more blessed the more that you're giving your life away. And that's really why we've called this whole series More Blessed. And it's why we're also standing here in front of the Y in King, where you grew up.
Yeah, so I grew up in King, and this is a town I love. And just so people aren't confused, this is the actual home of Dario.
There we go. The true Dario home.
Dario home is here. Alan, in some ways, we live in a culture that's all about measuring balance sheets. How much stuff have I accumulated? How much stuff have I done? And the Christian life really is counterintuitive to that in almost every way. It's about giving away your time, treasure, and talent. And this More Blessed series really goes a long way to explain why we are standing in the parking lot of a YMCA and thinking together as a congregation about what's next. And we're really talking about a season for the future of Reynolda Church. And so as we stand here, why are you more excited 22 years almost into your professional career here at Reynolda? Why are you more excited than ever about what God's going to do at Reynolda?
Well, years ago when we thought about building a big auditorium at 2200 Reynolda Road in Winston-Salem, I think a big part of this was stewardship, because we looked and said that's going to cost $7 to $10 million.
Right.
And not that there's not a place for big auditoriums, but we started thinking we're still just in one spot with limited land, limited parking, and limited accessibility, because we have people that even back then were driving from some distances to come to our campus. And we just decided, the multi-campus model is not a fad. It's something that God is using, and it's excellent stewardship. And so it's for that reason that I'm so excited. What at the bottom of this it means is that we are able to go where the people are. Mm-hmm. So part of the reason we're standing here in front of this Y is that I couldn't even believe it when we started looking at our role and realized that when you look at King and even all the way up to Mount Airy, and then you look at communities like Rural Hall or Tobaccoville or Pilot Mountain, and all these people within 10 miles of here,
that's right,
within a short drive of here, I think we've got about 100 families, don't we?
Families, that's right.
Now, those families are precious, and they love Reynolda, and they'll drive to Reynolda, but they're not likely to invite their friends, are they?
No, and the truth is that most people will only drive about 10 miles to church. And I learned an interesting statistic last week which said that we talk so much about the number of people that are unchurched in our country. We always say, 70%. But within that 70%, did you know there are about 34% of those people that now we consider de-churched? Meaning they grew up in the church. They have some awareness of the church's function in the culture and society, and they've just given up on it. Those people are not going to drive 25 minutes to church. They won't drive 2 minutes currently. So if we can go into the cities where our people already live and already have relationships in their sphere of influence, and they can invite people to say, hey, my church is doing this great thing. Part of this vision, Pastor Allen, is to make sure that we are doing the thing that God's calling us to do for this next season. We're really thinking about the next 2 years. So this campaign is a 2-year campaign, and it's going to raise a significant amount of money to plant campuses, but there's some other pieces too. Tell people why you're so excited about expanding our digital influence in the world.
Well, we've been on the radio now for 10 years, and we reach tens of thousands of people every day with the gospel. And it's one of those things, Chris, I wish that we could just share all the letters and notes and emails that we get from people that come to us saying, thank you, they stumbled upon it on the radio. And so we're going to continue that radio ministry. But I'll tell you, it is a digital world. And people are watching more video than ever, more YouTube than ever. And there are a lot of avenues of getting the gospel out where you don't buy radio time, you just can send it out for free.
That's right.
And we want to be able to do that more and more. We want to do it with excellence, and we want to be able to produce it with excellence, and we want to be able to let people know that that content is available. Bottom line is the same reason that we preach the gospel and we want to go in these communities is we just want to go with the good news of what God's done for us in Jesus to where people are.
So in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking a lot about the ways in which God is going to use these resources that we're raising to share the gospel in unique and exciting ways. We're going to plant new campuses, to move into the communities where our people already live. We're going to continue to expand our healing ministries through restoration, so that people who need their soul and their story restored by the gospel will have access to our best resources and practices. We're going to continue to expand our digital footprint into the world. But we're also going to be really committed to making sure that we as a church are sharing Jesus with the world in the most creative ways possible, so that people who are far from his story might know the hope of what God has done for them in Jesus. We really hope that through these Bible studies, you'll get excited that it's more blessed to give than receive. And we're going to look at a lot of ways, Pastor Allen. Just maybe give them a little taste of some of the things you're going to be talking about.
Well,
in the coming
for
weeks.
example, it's more blessed to praise God than it is to be praised. We're made to glorify God. We're going to learn it's more blessed to serve than to be served. This is one of the principal things Jesus taught, and we're going to have opportunities to serve. It is more blessed in our lives in every dimension when you are releasing rather than controlling.
That's right.
So we're going to explore really what I would say is almost a mystical truth. It is a gigantic secret that we want the whole world to know. It's more blessed to give than it is receive.